I will be posting this session up on our YouTube channel. Most of you would have received that through the newsletter as well as my current Yammer page. So if you head over to thatcloudthing.com, it will route you to my Yammer page, where it will provide you a link to this video after the session, as well as a lot of other announcements as well as training opportunities. So make sure you join me there. I'm posting there on a regular basis now. So with that, I am going to hand this over to Kathleen. Kathleen, whenever you're ready.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Jack. I'm going to take over as presenter, and I'm going to present my desktop. And let me know when you are able to see my screen.
I can see it on my end here.
Excellent. All right. Well, thanks for the introduction, Jack, and happy to present to all of you today. This is a very exciting opportunity to talk about the future of social, including Yammer with Office 365. And so I'm going to dive right into the discussion, and certainly throughout the discussion, if there's any questions you might have, post them into the chat window. And I think at appropriate times, Jack, if you want to announce any of those questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Sounds great.
Yes. Okay. So with that, the agenda that we're going to cover today is first to talk about the vision for the social workplace. Talking about it from a high-level overview, and then talking about what that means from a use case perspective and the typical success criteria that we've seen our other customers using social for. And then I'll be diving into 3 social success stories, as well as passing it over to Sameer Sitaram, my colleague here, who is going to go over the Office integration, show you some very cool features, and then we're going to wrap it up with a call to action and basically inspire you all with some ideas around how you can spark engagement in your own Yammer network. So first of all, the social workplace. Today we are in a world where there's constant rapid innovation. We live in a world where our businesses are constantly transforming, reacting to this new environment, and having to deal with this accelerated pace of change. There's always information that's coming at us. With technology, we're able to consume and absorb information, and that means that that information is constantly changing the way that we as individuals work and the way that our organizations work. And so what does that mean? We live in a world of constant disruption. And, as a quick definition, disruption means when someone else figures out how to provide the value you are providing better than you. And so what does that mean? That basically means that in order for all of us to maintain a competitive advantage, we and our customers need to be able to immediately and effectively deal with constant disruption. We need to be able to be on top of and be ahead of the curve in terms of what those changes are, maybe anticipate the needs of our customers, the needs of our partners, and be able to quickly align our efforts, our talent, our people, and our resources to be able to deal with this constant disruption. And so we at Yammer Microsoft, we see this as an opportunity to transform the way we work to be in this social workplace. So we talk about the social workplace as the way to transform your business from the inside out. And what that boils down to, what we've seen across the industry, is that there's 3 main ways in which companies use social. One, they use it to engage their talent more effectively, to be able to tap into hidden talent, or to be able to really leverage the ideas and the skill sets of their employees across the entire globe and across their geographies and business lines of business. And also to be able to help us to more effectively collaborate. So connect with our project teams, collaborate, and to be able to really share the information across our teams to be able to highlight lessons learned, successes, as well as ways to improve on the fly as to how we're going to deliver more effectively in the future. And then finally, the last use case is around innovation. So really helping us to be able to pull in those signals from the marketplace, to be able to adapt how we're delivering solutions to our customers, and to be able to innovate our products, our services, to be able to win those opportunities through that rapid innovation. And so what that boils down to, there's some very specific ways in which you can use social to be able to transform your business. From the aspect of engaging your employees, this means improving your corporate communications. This might mean you have a company newsletter that goes out, but perhaps maybe a small percentage of your company workforce is actually consuming that newsletter, finding it relevant to them. So it's using social to make that information more relevant, to crowdsource the feedback, the ideas, the input into those newsletters, to be able to disseminate that information more effectively. It may be around sharing best practices across your company to be able to find those opportunities for synergy. Or it may be to integrate social to accelerate that learning curve, to be able to improve the onboarding process, and to be able to really on-ramp your employees forward. And then secondly, from the collaboration standpoint, this means being able to effectively collaborate with your teams across geographies and functions. So what that means is, let's say I'm in a professional services team and I'm flung out into the middle of Malaysia, right? And I'm seeing an issue as I'm implementing a solution at my customer's location. Well, imagine prior to social, what would I have to do? I'd have to, email or phone my colleague in product development or in software development and say, hey, have you seen this issue? And they would be the bottleneck. They'd have to try to find that solution for me. Well, using social, I can now post that question out into the entire organization, and my peers who may be based somewhere in Europe or in the US, they can say, I've seen that issue. Here, try this solution. This worked for me. All right. And then lastly, around innovation. This is around really driving your organizational alignment. Maybe you have a new product that's launching. Maybe you're breaking into new markets. And so you want to really be able to align all of those teams and all of those individuals to be able to break into those new markets, to be able to streamline or shorten the time to delivering a new product to the market. And so with that, I wanted to boil down those three specific ideas into three interesting stories. These are straight from our customers that have used social within their companies, and it sometimes helps to just see it in action. So first off, I wanted to talk a little bit about one of our customers, Red Robin. And as you may be familiar, Red Robin is a fast food or a high-end fast food, I guess, burger joint. And while burger and fries may not be really sexy, what they were able to do was, number one, they realized that they had this great opportunity where these employees, these frontline workers, they'd be serving the meals directly to customers, and they are a great entry point for the input around how customers are receiving that product, receiving the services, receiving any new offerings that the company is delivering to their customers. And they realized that these employees, they had all of this information, 26,000 team members had all of this information, but they had no great way to be able to send that information back to headquarters with feedback from their customers. Imagine back in the day, there would be, the comment cards where maybe you'd fill out to say, hey, this has been my experience at restaurant XYZ, at one of the Red Robin locations. And that would then have to be collated, captured by some, some team member. Again, that would take a long time to be able to pull that information together, find those themes, and then to be able to react and to be able to deliver a more effective solution. So what they did was they realized they had a great opportunity where they could implement social to be able to use that as an engine to drive business transformation. And really, they wanted to start with their Red Robin team members. So meaning that they really saw the opportunity to empower their employees at the restaurants with this ability to be able to send the information back to headquarters. The results, number one, their employees at the restaurants, they felt much more engaged across the business. They were able to see that they had a voice to be able to influence how they delivered new products to the market. They were also able to drastically reduce their time to market and increase that innovation and cost savings. And as you can see on the left-hand side of the screen, this innovation actually landed them on the front page of the USA Today. They were rolling out this new type of burger, and imagine in the old days when they would launch this burger, they would deliver it to the customers. The customers would provide feedback on, the taste or, any just kind of nuances on the packaging, and that would have to be captured. And that used to take them about 6 months to be able to capture that feedback and to be able to make changes to the recipe of this burger. Well, what they were able to do with social was that these restaurant employees, they could post that feedback and send it back to headquarters, and they could quickly make changes to the recipe for those burgers. Now, as you can see with Yammer, it only takes a matter of days. So incredible time savings, incredible cost savings. The second story that I wanted to talk about was using social to be able to collaborate around resolving supplier quality issues. So one of our customers, Tesco, their store workers used to have to spend about 30 to 40 minutes off the shop floor to be able to log whenever product came in that might be, subpar condition. Again, they saw a great opportunity with social to be able to empower those employees across all these different retail locations, and to also be able to increase their productivity, make sure that they didn't have to spend all that time off the shop floor. So they used Yammer specifically to be able to highlight wherever there were issues around the product quality. In this case, what they found was that, in certain store locations, they found that when tomatoes were delivered, they would go bad in a shorter amount of time. Again, they would have to spend 30 to 40 minutes to be able to document that, but now they were able to snap a picture very quickly of the condition of the tomatoes when they arrived on site. They were able to post it into Yammer, and centrally the team who managed the supplier relationships was able to quickly address that challenge and to be able to address it and resolve it much more quickly. And then finally, the last use case that I wanted to describe was around Westfield. So this was a very interesting story, again, all around resolving quality control issues quickly. What Westfield discovered was that, again, through these interactions with their customers, they were able to gain very tangible, actionable feedback to be able to improve the quality of their solutions. So in this case, Westfield had delivered a new gift card to their stores. But they found that there was a minor design flaw that basically rendered it incapable of being able to be redeemed by their customers when they would come on site to the stores. So the store managers, they were able to quickly post that into Yammer. And what they were able to find was that by posting it into Yammer, they were able to get to the card design team, the centralized team, to be able to make improvements to the card design. And what used to take 6 to 8 weeks of not only addressing that challenge, but also weeks of complaints, return cards, and all of those associated costs, they were able to reduce that down to a matter of days. So through the ubiquitous access of social, being able to expand the reach of their customer or their store employees through that direct contact with their customers. They were able to increase that voice of those those store employees, and they were able to use that mobile access for the store workers to be able to capture that information quickly and easily, which resulted in near instant process improvements as well as more satisfied customers. And so with that, I'm going to hand it over to my colleague Sameer, who's going to go over how you can actually take these success stories and how you can use both Yammer and Office 365 to accomplish this.
Thank you, Kathleen. Those stories were fantastic. I love the stories around Yammer, especially when it comes to solving real-world problems with social. The tomatoes example, I bet, was very fruitful, if you will, for Tesco. So, Jack, please let me know when you can see my screen, or if somebody in the audience can let me know if they can see my screen. It should say Yammer Office 365.
We sure can.
Awesome, great. So thank you very much for the opportunity to get me to present to you guys. I want to walk you through what Yammer is. Kathleen obviously explained the business use cases and how to drive Yammer into your organization, but I want to talk to you about from more of a technical perspective as to what Yammer is, how it works, our integration strategy, and then talk about our integration with Office 365, show you a couple of things, and then kind of tee it off with the futures in terms of what we're doing, and then give you a few links to check out at your leisure. So what is Yammer really, right? So if you guys take a look at my screen, it's a communication and collaboration tool designed on social, basically to bring in employees from your organization together on one single platform so that they can communicate and collaborate effectively, efficiently from anywhere at any time, right? So we are a web service. It's a SaaS-based platform. It's available across all your devices. So whether it's a PC, Mac, Linux machine, your iOS devices, Android devices, and your Windows devices, all across the board, Yammer is available. So basically, you can communicate and collaborate from anywhere at any time. If you take a look at the Yammer UI, it looks very consumer-centric. It looks like a consumer application. This is because we've seen the success of consumer applications such as Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn out there, right? Nobody's coercing users or consumers to go ahead and use those applications. They're using it out of their own volition. That is where Yammer comes into play as well. Our engagement story is fantastic because we have a simple, easy to use, get your job done sort of interface. And within this interface, you see groups, news feeds, activity streams, private messaging. The way we have designed our UI is to say that all of these different pieces are separate web services that communicate with each other using a set of standardized APIs, right? So we believe in this A/B testing methodology, which kind of builds into our agile development methodology, where we will continue to develop and iterate on features once we understand what is most useful to users. And as you can imagine, what is most useful to users keeps on changing rapidly. So we adopt our interface to users' requirements, to their demands, to what would be the most engaging to them, right? So again, a very simple, easy, consumer-centric interface for Yammer. In terms of our integration strategy, we're completely agnostic. So I rattled off a bunch of devices that you can access Yammer from. You can also integrate Yammer with any line of business application, whether it's within your DMZ, within your organization, or outside of your organization. We're not just a plugin for Microsoft. You can plug in Yammer into any other application as well, any application that supports extensibility. So for instance, you can plug it into Salesforce, into SAP, NetSuite, Workday, and of course the entire Microsoft Office stack as well. So Yammer literally is the social Switzerland because you can ingest or push information from or to any one of these line of business applications. So as you can see across the board, we have several applications over here. So how does Yammer integrate with these applications? Basically using two different strategies. One is the Open Graph and REST API strategy, and the other one's called Yammer Embed. The easiest way for me to understand the difference between these two pieces is to say that Open Graph and REST API is where your pulling content or pushing content using a standardized set of APIs, which is exposed in our developer documentation. Yammer Embed is to bring in conversations from Yammer into your line of business application. So for instance, with Yammer Embed, I can simply grab the feed from a particular group and pop it into, say, my SharePoint site or a Teams site or some other web presence UI that I have within my organization where people are coming to get stuff done. That's where I can add a social layer onto it as well using this embed. Open Graph and REST API is more on the developer side of things in terms of bringing intelligence from Yammer into your line of business applications. For instance, if you wanted to find out, hey, how many users are in this particular group, and I want to bring that information into my SAP application, you can go ahead and do that with the REST API endpoints that we publish. The Open Graph piece is very interesting as well. Just a quick little definition of what Open Graph is. Open Graph is something we see constantly on Facebook. It's something that Facebook propounded, but something that we are constantly seeing on CNN.com, on Fox, on any one of these websites that users go ahead and interact and comment using their Facebook login. So with Open Graph, a user takes an action on an object. So it's a noun doing a verb on a particular object. For instance, so we've got the noun over here, which is Jimmy. The verb is shared, and then a file was shared, which is the object from a system called SharePoint. Now, this is something that Yammer can capture using our Open Graph API. And then the whole idea of this is that once it gets shared out to a wider audience, which in turn improves the virality of whatever is being shared. Let me show you a quick little example of it, right? Of how the application Spotify leverages Open Graph in Facebook. Now, people use Spotify, they've got to log in with their Facebook account, so they'll log in with their Facebook account, and using Open Graph, what Spotify does is, it pushes out to my friends saying that, hey, Sam is listening to this XYZ song. Now, what happens is, that basically urges my followers, my friends on Facebook, to go ahead and install Spotify. They say, oh my God, he's listening to this song. By the way, I don't have Spotify installed. I can go ahead and install Spotify. Now, once they install Spotify and they start using the application, they again promote the virality to their friends, right? So they're probably listening to some song as well, and their network starts seeing these updates as well from Spotify. Now, what Spotify has really done is tapped into Open Graph to create a powerful viral loop, right? So again, multiple people sharing with multiple people, and again, the application gets promoted at the end of the day. So think of it in a CRM sort of instance in your organization, right? I'm working on an opportunity within CRM Dynamics. I want to share it further with my sales group. Suddenly, there are multiple people within my sales group who have visibility into the opportunity, can give me some insight. Maybe they know somebody that I can talk to. So collective intelligence is what Open Graph really spawns about. We're going to talk real quick about what we've done with Office 365. So it's been a couple years since Microsoft acquired Yammer, and Yammer is soon becoming the gold standard for enterprise social networking across the entire Microsoft stack. Our focus today is on Office 365, and we've kind of split this into 3 different pillars in terms of bringing the Yammer experience into Office 365. In fall of last year, we gave Office 365 users the option of replacing their SharePoint news feeds with Yammer, and then we brought about a Yammer app for SharePoint as well in the SharePoint web app store. Now, that was the first level of integration, but we're continuing to build further on this integration. We're improving the user experience so that the mesh between Yammer and SharePoint is not separated. It's one unified experience across the board, unifying the identity pieces. So as of today, you have separate identities between Yammer and Office 365. You will start seeing those identities unify. And then finally, using the Office Web Apps experience, we're able to, bring the collaborative aspect of, multiple people working in a document into Yammer so that you can have a social conversation around that document and at the same time get work done as well as you're collaborating online. Again, from any device, anywhere, anytime. So I'm going to show you guys some of these things over here in a test tenant that we've put together. So let me just switch gears here real quick and go into my tenant over here. So I'm simply going to sign into Office 365 over here. So I'm going to sign in as Alex D. That's my persona for this. So I'm going to sign into my tenant. Oops. And as always, let's just go ahead and refresh this page here. I think I left it here for too long. So let me just type in my password. I may have to relaunch my tenant over here. Let's go to login to MicrosoftOnline.com. Alex D. We seem to be having some problems here with logging into this tenant. So let me try logging in as a different user here. Okay. Just bear with me, guys. As always, every demo situation seems to be having some sort of issue over here. So let me just try a different browser, and then we'll get started over here.
I forgot to do my praise to the demo gods.
So for some odd reason, it doesn't seem to be coming through. So we're going to try and share it from Kathleen's machine over here and walk through the experience over here.
Great.
So
let me go ahead and just share my screen.
Okay.
Yes, at the top. Perfect. All right. Okay.
Okay, cool. So a couple different things over here, right? So the first experience, so now that we're logged into Office 365, if you go under Admin and then select SharePoint over here, what we're able to do is go ahead and switch the experience for the default social networking service to be Yammer instead of SharePoint Social. And that just happens in settings. It's just a very, very simple toggle switch that allows you to switch the experience between Yammer and SharePoint. So once you do that, Yammer will become the default enterprise social networking service across this tenant. And what that does is, on the suite navigation at the top, it replaces newsfeeds with Yammer up here. Now, that's got an added advantage because something we released a couple weeks ago actually, is something called user mapping, which allows anybody who is logged into Office 365, who has got an E3 license, for instance, they will be able to click on the Yammer link at the top of the page and automatically log into Yammer. So as you can see, I've clicked on the Yammer link over there, I've logged into Office 365, and I'm automatically logged into Yammer as well. Okay, so that's called user mapping, where we're basically trusting the relationship between Office 365 and Yammer, and allowing users to log into Yammer by virtue of the fact that they've logged into Office 365. The reverse of this is going to be coming soon, where you can log into Yammer, and by virtue of that, will automatically log you into Office 365. This is our first step in terms of unifying identities together between SharePoint and Yammer, because as you know, today they have separate identities, but as we keep moving forward on this path in terms of mapping the identities, you'll have one single common identity across the board. The other thing I wanted to show you over here, so now once we have Yammer selected, you're able to go into your sites. So for instance, I can go into a SharePoint site over here. So let me go home. And what I can do in my SharePoint site is go ahead and publish an all-company feed, right? So this is coming directly from our Yammer web app that has been designed for SharePoint and Office 365. It's available in the SharePoint store. You can download it and trust it for your particular domain. And then once you've trusted it, just like adding another web app, you're able to bring that social experience from within Yammer directly within Office 365 and within SharePoint. So I can choose a group feed, I can choose a home feed, or if you've got a blog with comments, you can choose that comment feed as well. We've chosen the home feed over here, and I've chosen my network. And what I can do now is, once I save this, I can simply pop in a comment over here, and that's just going to be available across the board. So I could say something along the lines of, Alex D, we had some issues with your login. Who can we talk to about? Or something like that, right? And I can @mention other users over here. I'm going to @mention the president as well, and then I'm going to post this into the sales group and select post. Because Yammer can be available from anytime, anywhere, this is also obviously going to appear within Yammer as well. As you can see right up over here, it says we've had some issues with SharePoint, who can we talk about? So other folks from within the organization can go and like this, reply to this, engage with this further, and obviously tap into that, collective brain viral knowledge in terms of, providing me a resolution to this particular situation. Okay, so that's your simple bringing in the Yammer experience into SharePoint. The other things we can do is, for instance, there may be a particular team site. We've got a team site over here called Research and Development. I can go into this team site directly and go ahead and pop in a group that is dedicated to this particular team site, right? For instance, we have the marketing group over here. So for instance, I could simply say that these test cases look fantastic. Please see Garth. Right, I can @mention users over here as well. Please see Garth for more information, something along those lines. I'm going to select post. And again, this is going to be appearing not just within Yammer, but also within, not just within SharePoint, but across Yammer as well. So you can not only enable the app for your all network environment, but also for certain team sites as well. The third thing we want to do is, for instance, if I go to my OneDrive over here, just to show you the scale of the integration, we're able to share documents from within your Office 365 tenant directly into Yammer. So if I select on these dots over here, I'm able to post content directly from within Office 365 into Yammer. And this is using that Open Graph methodology, again, by creating a viral loop, right? So for instance, I'm going to @mention Alex Darrow over here, and I'm going to @mention Belinda Newman as well, and then post this into a particular group. Let's just post this into the finance group. Project budget audit, it's a document, and then I'm just going to get posted into the finance group. And now if I go into the finance group over here on Yammer, you will notice that this document is available over there. This document is available in the finance group, and Alex can go ahead and log in over there. Belinda can go and log in over there. Multiple people can go ahead and log in into that particular document, and then they can go ahead and basically collaborate in real time. Now, if I click on this, go to this page over here, you'll notice that we have created an Open Graph page for this particular document. We have pulled in certain metadata about this document. We've pulled in the name of the document, how long it was posted, for instance, and then a unique URL to that document. So the document lives within SharePoint, lives within your OneDrive, lives within that mother system. All we're doing is sharing certain metadata about that document into Yammer, and then anybody who has permissions to view and edit that document within SharePoint or any other mother system will be able to do that because, again, the link just references to that document directly. So multiple people can collaborate with me on this, and then I'm just going to @mention Alex on this document over here so that he gets into this document and say, Alex, we need to collaborate on this, and then select post. I'm going to go straight to this document. So when I click on it, it goes into my Word directly, Word Online. I can go ahead and edit this document in real time on Word Online. So let me just go ahead and give Alex the permission there. So I'm going to go and share this with Alex as well. Alex D. Alex can edit this document now. And now, when I go back in over here, once Alex has clicked on it, he will be able to jump directly into this document, and then both of us will be able to collaborate in real time on this document. Again, no requirement for maintaining versions. As you can see, multiple versions can be maintained automatically over here. It overwrites the latest version. No saving required either. And as you can see, Alex is collaborating with me on this document in real time now. So that's just one of the use cases. Again, we're bringing the whole Office Web Apps experience directly into Yammer so that you can not only have this collaborative experience over here, but there's also a social thread running around this document in real time as well. So again, giving people context to the document as well as collaborating on the document in real time. That is all I had to share from like our integration perspective as of today. There are a couple slides that I'm going to switch back to my machine and share with you on the futures of where we are going. And one of the most exciting things that was announced at SharePoint conference was the Office Graph and what we're going to do with the Office Graph and so forth. So I just want to share a couple slides on that. And then, I'll pass it back to Kathleen right after that. Kathleen, can you see my screen?
I can, yes.
Okay, awesome. So that was one of the biggest announcements at SharePoint conference was around the Office Graph piece. And what Office Graph essentially is an aggregator for telemetry from multiple different applications. So it could be applications that may be living in the cloud, applications that may be living in more of a hybrid environment, but it's telemetry of your relationships with users, your relationships with documents, what other people have created, how you've engaged, all of that boiled into a single portal that is easier for you to digest. So if you're familiar with the Pulse application, the newsreader application that was out several months ago, this is something along those lines, but it's machine learning. It's something that is going to learn your profile over time, how you work, who you interact with, and it's something that's just going to get better and better in terms of understanding you and projecting stuff that matters to you. So I urge you to go ahead and check out Office Graph. I'm going to show you a couple links here real quick where you can go and check it out. But basically, think of it as more of an aggregator, and it's something that's going to be available with Office 365, and it's going to glean intelligence from all these different applications and populate it into one single spot. And then I'm going to share this deck with Jack at the end of this. I just had a couple different resources over here, to talk about, development resources, some information about our release schedule, and feel free to check out the Office Graph and Oslo from there as well. All right, Kathleen, back to you.
Great, thank you, Sameer. All right, so we're going to wrap up with a call to action for you all, and then we'll be able to take some questions. So I'm going to start by sharing my screen again. And the last call to action is sparking engagement on your own Yammer network. And so to effectively be able to sell and to be able to deliver Yammer to your customers, it's super important that you get an opportunity to really be able to implement Yammer in your own companies. It's much more powerful when you're talking with your customers, when you're trying to relate to their challenges, that you have your own experiences. So with that, I wanted to share some ideas that you can then take back to your own companies and start trying them out to be able to promote your own network and to be able to build momentum. There's a number of different campaigns here and a number of different ideas around, number one, promoting the network. So if you already have Yammer deployed at your own company, you can do things such as celebrate the network. That means, bringing it out to company-wide events, really make sure that Yammer is front and center as part of those company events so that people are just aware. Number two, think about holding, ways to celebrate what's already happened in Yammer. So 31 days of Yammer. Shifting over to building momentum. This might be things like hosting a Yam Jam. So what does a Yam Jam mean? It's basically like a virtual town hall that's hosted completely at people's desks where they're able to connect and collaborate with a key speaker. And this could be an executive at your company. Maybe you're going through some changes in terms of the services that you're offering, or you've acquired a new company. Use Yammer to be able to start that dialogue from the top down and to be able to give your employees an opportunity to ask questions out in the open and to continue that dialogue. So just to give you some ideas, some ways that you can celebrate, your networks. Celebrate a network milestone. Maybe it's a time-based milestone. Maybe it's reaching the first, the 100th post within Yammer. Celebrate it in a very open and visible way. Some ways that our customers have done this is by even creating Yammer cupcakes, to showcase the milestone that you've achieved in your own companies. Other ways is to use set up a Yammer headquarters, like one of our customers did, and set up a photo booth so that your staff can take profile photos. It's really important and very very important to the engagement and to the livelihood of your environment and your network that people actually have pictures of themselves. Like I mentioned, 31 Days of Yammer. See Beyond actually did this, where they posted daily tips, they hosted workshops, they developed use cases across their company, and they used an entire month to be able to showcase Yammer and the value of social. Lastly, as I mentioned, use Feedfall to be able to encourage attendees to be aware of Yammers, but especially in your company-wide events. Make sure that it's prominent. Feedfall is kind of like a Twitter fall, where people just have an ambient awareness of what's going on across the entire company while they're at events. And get creative, make sure that your Yammer masthead is customized to your own company logo. And think about ways to move communications to Yammer. Maybe think about doing a no email challenge. Move maybe specific company messages into Yammer, or convert your newsletter to a Yammer group. Great ways to be able to utilize the network to provide ongoing two-way communication. And so that concludes the presentation. And so we wanted to open it up for questions to be able to answer any questions that you might have.
Yeah, we had a couple questions as we were talking here. One was associated with the passwords and the user identities, Sameer.
Yes, sir.
What if the Office 365 is leveraging multiple domains?
Yeah, so you can have multiple domains in Yammer as well. So for instance, if you've got users signing in at abc.com and def.com and at multiple different domains, we can have a similar situation in Yammer as well. There are two ways to go about it. Number one, you could say that, hey, depending on whatever domain you're logged in with, you will be you will be taken to that particular Yammer network. Okay, so if you're siloing these different domains into separate Yammer networks, that's entirely possible. We can do that from Office 365. The other way around is to say that, hey, we're going to have one single network. We're going to break down silos and have one single network across the organization. And just give you an example of how Microsoft does it. We've got a number of domains, obviously, a number of product interests, Skype, Yammer, Bing, Azure, you name it, right? So all these different domains, we put all these domains under one single network, under a merged domain network, onemicrosoft.com, right? So it doesn't matter what users log in with into Office 365, they're redirected to the single Microsoft.com network. So we can play with both scenarios. Again, really depends on what is the call of the time.
And then when you were working with the SharePoint integration, you had referred to an app in the marketplace. Do you recall what the name of that app is?
Yeah, it's just the Yammer app.
Okay.
Yep. And when you type in Yammer in the SharePoint store, you'll get multiple results. There's a Yammer app that Microsoft has put out, and then there are apps that third parties, partners have put out as well. So we hope that marketplace will keep growing. So, again, another call to action to our partner friends, that we could use more Yammer apps out there, definitely.
Yeah, and I did have another one. Are there any SSO options for SharePoint and Active Directory? I guess that's more of an Office 365 question. You do have to deploy an Active Directory on-prem or on Azure in order to make that work. The only other option that you might want to consider is there is a password synchronization option that's available to Azure. That isn't a single sign-on option, but it does synchronize those local passwords to Office 365 through Azure to kind of give you a similar function. Did you want to add anything to that, Sameer?
Yeah, absolutely. So just to, from a Yammer perspective, because the identities are still separate, there is a Yammer single sign-on process as well. Yammer will integrate with any identity provider out there. So if it's ADFS, Okta, whatever identity provider you have out there, we can integrate with that as long as the IDP is able to send SAML 1.1 or 2.0 based assertions. And, we're unifying the identities between Yammer and Office 365, but as you can see, the unification is still at phase 1. So, if a customer does want single sign-on access to Yammer, that will need to be set up separately from Office 365. So it would be a matter of adding another relying party trust to your ADFS environment.
Sure. If anybody else has any questions, you're welcome to post it within the chat window, or unmute yourself now and give us those questions. While we wait, I can't thank you enough, Kathleen and Sameer. This has been a fantastic session. The content you shared today is definitely going to empower our partners to better sell Yammer as well as Office 365. So thank you again for your time today. As I mentioned at the beginning of the call, we will be posting this video on our YouTube channel, as well as on Yammer, of course. Sameer and Kathleen have agreed to provide me the decks, so the benefit of the Yammer page, of course, is going to be you'll be able to download the decks there. Join us in a month. We will have another session we already have lined up with the Microsoft Device Guy. We'll be talking about managed services around devices and bring your own devices in small businesses to enterprise businesses. That's becoming an increasingly hot topic. If there are no further questions, was there anything additional that Kathleen or Sameer would like to add while we close?
No, I don't think so. Just make sure, the strongest piece of advice I can give to our partners is to use Yammer within your own organizations and definitely take the opportunity to, learn about it, learn about why customers would be using social, and take the opportunity to really establish yourselves as a thought leader in the space. It's a relatively new space, and so it's a great opportunity to make your mark.
Hello, this is Sanjay. Just a quick question. I'm not sure that was answered, or I stepped out for a couple of minutes about the multiple domains on the tenant.
Yeah, so you can have multiple domains on your tenant. So in Office 365, you're able to add multiple domains. The similar situation can happen in Yammer as well. Basically, when a user logs in with a domain ID, we can redirect that user into a particular Yammer tenant based on that domain ID, or in a Yammer case, if it's a merged domain. So, say for instance, you've got 5 different domains and you want them all merged under one single domain name. That's possible as well. We call that a merged domain scenario. In that case, doesn't matter what that user logs in with into Office 365. When they click on Yammer, they'll be led to that merged domain. Does that address your question, sir?
Yeah, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, Sameer or Kathleen, do you have any concept on if there's any timeline associated with the government community cloud? For Yammer?
I'm not entirely familiar with that.
Yeah, no. I'm not familiar as well, but if we get more information, we'll certainly let you know, Jack.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, we have some public sector people on the line, and I was just fielding that question.
Great.
So, well, I think we'll wrap it up. I do appreciate your time again, Kathleen and Sameer. This has been a fantastic session. And I know I appreciated it, and as well as I'll provide you any feedback that I receive as we progress here and post this to Yammer. So thanks again.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure.
Bye.
Bye now. Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks, you too.